Welcome to Bedtime Whispers, where darkness comes to life and nightmares become reality. Nuclear Lake. This is a story I have never told to anyone before. For 2 whole years I've been keeping it a secret, because if I told it, however, I can't keep quiet anymore either. We rode with friends in Kazakhstan. We rode, well, all tourists, into jeeps. Wherever we got buried, we would pull each other out. But once we had to drag a tractor from the neighboring village, the complete set. Me and my wife, Lenchik, my childhood friend, and her husband, and Kolka, Lena's nephew in his 20s. Actually, it was a purely entertaining expedition. We bathed in the oases, overcame the hardships of everyday life, and generally played Soviet tourists. Lenchik and I used to hike in the mountains of the Caucasus back in Soviet times. We even wanted to hike the Dyatlov route, but they closed that area back then. All the crew spoke Russian, and the farther away from civilization we were from, the more we explained in gestures. We came across this lake almost by chance. We were driving through Shiganka from Semipalatinsk, and somehow we didn't even have a good chat in the city. In general, it's like, I don't know. I can't describe it. There's a landfill nearby, and the town is exactly like Pripyat, only residential, such a Soviet town. After St. Petersburg, it's even funny to look at in some way. There are many such towns in Russia, too. We did not buy the dosimeters, because they sold them too zealously, and my wife fell in raptures at the market. Such a beauty of fruit. I can't describe it. We crunched huge apricots as big as our fist left. They say it was a nuclear crop, and we drove further. The sun was shining brightly. The roads were yellow, and our jeeps stood out brightly. Well, Lenchik and I know how to deal with local riffraff, if anything strange. But when we pointed the direction of the route to the local hotel, just one name, a room in the house for guests, the old woman started groaning and trying to explain in broken Russian that we shouldn't go there. It was dirty. Well, we are idiots, I admit. We decided that the cause of recent anomalous rains, from which the Shiganka swelled and 3 bridges demolished. So we calmed her mother and ourselves. After spending the night, rushed on. We did not notice that everything around was a little too much. The sand is too yellow, the sky is too faded and white, and the grass is somehow, well, I am not an expert of species. I am an electrical engineer. My wife teaches English. Lenchik came back with her husband from polar expedition, and Kolka is a computer specialist. We did not understand then. I wish we had a folklorist or a biologist. We drove and drove. Gasoline at least a lot, and extra tanks filled in the last village. There is some kind of semi-abandoned, and the gas station is such a rich, even with propane. But we did not like it. A strange people there just remembered Lovecraft all at once. Some little people skewed, creepy. The village, 2.5 houses, and those are ripped off. Creepy such people, and they speak Russian half-heartedly. So we just raced on. There, where GPS showed a lake. Well, like a lake. Just a whole lake. We didn't pay attention to some step Earth subsidence. It doesn't matter. there are sticking out some antique plates. In general, it's trifles. At last, we reached the lake. Probably it was out of shore, but we specially did not notice. We simply settled down on a ghost, and then Lenchik saw this little building near the water, and we were smart enough to relocate to it, while the rest of the team gathered their tents just above the water. It was a strange lake, not very big, almost perfectly round, like a mountain lake, only in the middle of the steppe. Water, just like milkworm. But during the day it was such a heat that we decided to swim at night, under the huge free stars, such you will not see in the city. After exploring the building, we decided to take pictures and spend the night there. You never know what goes on here at night. For sure we were spotted by the locals. The jeeps are conspicuous. No closed territory was marked. But who knows? You understand. So we moved the jeeps closer to us, and while we settled down, boiled porridge and drank teas with herbs. Even in this steppe, evening has already begun. By the way, the water from this lake was strange, delicious, but I don't know how to describe it, like warm over cold. Kolka went fishing. My dearest and Lanchik's husband went to bed. They were not tourists. They were exhausted, and we were left to sit, sip our wine, and chat about old trips and who had what. Somehow the purpose of this building could not be found out. All inside stripped. Only the walls remained. But Lanchik claimed that this may be some kind of research station. So we decided to stay here longer. It was an interesting place. And in the steppe it gets dark slowly and briefly, but steeply. There was a delicate silver moire over the horizon, and for half an hour the gray steppe glowed yellow and orange, unbelievably beautiful, and the lake burned with the same kind of nuclear fire, until at last the last rays disappeared over the horizon. Well, it was right here when Lenchik and I went out to see what was there and how, on the shore, we were sitting, smoking pipes. It was my nephew who brought us the fun, and we were listening to the quiet splashing. We settled down, well, right on the ledge over the water, and something seemed to be wrong in the landscape. I did not understand it, but Lanchik understood. She had a diamond eye. The water was shining, she said. At first, I didn't understand, but then I was astonished. Well, yes, such a barely perceptible flicker, bluish, soft, like the luminescence of the sea, only it does not depend on the waves. Standing in the depths of Kazakhstan is a round, slightly drop-shaped lake, gently shining, just like a steppe jewel. We were all sitting and admiring it, and Kolka was already getting into the water. He shouted that the fishing line was caught. I shouted back that be careful, there must be a lot of fittings, and I kept looking. My eyes tingled, just tears came out of such a beauty, and it's as dark as a nigger's. This glow made it even darker, and the sky was like a black pillow, and we felt a little uncomfortable when we realized that there was no splash from below. I shouted a couple of times to my nephew. He said nothing. That's when I felt bad. We rushed down into the water, but could not swim far. I guess to orientate on a fishing line, I stuck forward on it, in depth. The water there was even warmer, and such pure, that even to open eyes it is possible. And that's the only reason I'm writing here. not there resting. I opened my eyes, already quite drowned, and felt someone's hand. I decided that Kolka pulled on himself. God, my heart still stopped. It was a human hand. It was Kolka's. Separated from Kolka, and right in front of my eyes was hanging. Anyway, I hope it was a fish. I took a world record in swimming, getting out of there, and I still got my thigh skinned right from the side to the heel, sending it off like an emery. Lenchik said I was out of my mind, mumbling something about running away, sniffling blood. She bandaged me up and our halves didn't come out screaming, so we decided it was for the best. Why scare me? I crawled away from the water, just in case. I tried to describe the fish to Lenchik, but she did not believe me. She only checked my temperature. We would probably have stayed there till morning. Under such soft light from the water, I could still see black shadows, and somehow it became clear to me that there was nowhere to catch. A man without a hand could not live long. We had to rush to town to sound the alarm and all that. But we were in a kind of stupor, me in pain, Lenchik. I do not know. At 3 in the morning, just before sunrise, I got chills, and we went into the building. It was so bright in the daytime. Only in the back rooms I could smell something in the torn walls, a kind of blackness mildew, I guess. At night, I stood on the doorstep and said I wasn't going inside. I didn't know why. Lenchik said I was an idiot and could go to the car, and she even led me inside. God, how she yelled. I'll never forget how she yelled. I grabbed my knife and rushed inside, limping. I must have looked like a maniac, and she was lying on the floor. And they were in bed, too. I do not even know what can devour a body so much. Probably these things. They are like large crustaceans. They waited here and ate all night while we were talking, while we were losing Kolka. I turned Lenchik over, and they immediately jumped right out in a pack. They are afraid. It is evident. If they cannot attack from the back, they ate her face and neck, so that I could not recognize my friend with all my desire. Just a mask of clumped hair, and from it the dark hollows of her eye sockets gleamed, and a few crayfish ran out of its mouth, and I tried to catch one and screamed myself. It hurt so badly. The creature, it ripped the skin right down to the bone at the joint with its claws. I hardly remember what happened. I dragged Lenchika into the jeep. I bandaged her up somehow. I cried myself. I think she was unconscious. Then I drove to the village. There was a lot of noise. I don't remember much. I think we ended up in hospital, and they investigated the case without us. We were deported to Russia. I think they opened and closed the case as if it was an animal attack. Lenchik lives with me now. She needs someone to cook for her and sometimes change her bandages. She spent almost all her savings on cosmetic surgery, and she still can't go out in the day without hiding her face. I still don't understand. Were they ambushing her? They're so small. Maybe some kind of collective intelligence. I'm so scared at night. I know that somewhere in Kazakhstan there are creatures that can corner and devour a grown man, an athlete, I sometimes ask Lanchik about it. Maybe she'll tell me one day how she was attacked when she learns to write or type blindly, but not out loud, because she doesn't have a language anymore. Thank you so much for your attention. Subscribe to the channel. See you soon.